Okay, so now let's continue around the room. Where did we stop now that you've all moved back to your seats? Well, we'll just go with you, Brian.
Ammonium sulfate.
Ammonium sulfate. How about the next one, Daisy? That's right. You sounded like you weren't sure. Were you not sure how to pronounce it?
You scared me, so I wasn't sure.
Okay. Nickel 3 permanganate.
It's beryllium. I want to say it's bromate, but not positive.
You're close.
Bromite.
Nope. What is it, class? BrO4. Perbromate. And there's a typo on here. Beryllium's a +2 and the perbromate is a -1, so we need to have that in parentheses. There was a typo in the formula. It's perbromate. We're going to talk about this in a little bit when we talk about the acids, but when there are 4 oxygens and it's a halogen, then it's perbromate, periodate, perchlorate, perfluorate. Okay, how about this one, Jennifer?
Mercury hypochlorite.
Which mercury is it?
Oh, mercury 2. Sorry, I just bypassed the parentheses.
Yep, mercury 2 hypochlorite. And again, if it's a halogen and there is 1 oxygen, it's the hypoite. If it's 2 oxygens, it's ite. If it's 3 oxygens, it's 8. And 4 oxygens is perate. And if we were speaking Latin, we'd call this mercuric. Okay, so those are ionic compounds. Now, there's one little subgroup of ionic compounds that's kind of special. These are called hydrates. And they are compounds, generally salts, ionic compounds, that have molecules of water loosely attached to the crystal lattice. And we name the salt, and then we add a prefix to say how many waters, and then the word hydrate. So if you look at this, copper sulfate, this little asterisk, that's supposed to be a dot. They look like this with just a dot, but I couldn't type that. So it should look like that. And we call it copper 2 sulfate, penta for 5 hydrate. Okay, so continuing around the room, what would you call this, Rebecca? Or did we just do you? No, okay, you were next. It's strontium.
Yes, strontium, nitrite, tetrahydrate.
That's right. Strontium, it's nitrate. Did you say nitrite? Yeah, it's nitrate, tetrahydrate. Nitrate is 3 oxygens, nitrite is 2 oxygens. Corinne?
Lithium chloride.
Not chlorite because it's chlorine alone, so it's an IDE, IDE. If it ends in IDE, with the exception of hydroxide and cyanide and amide, okay? If it ends in IDE, it is an element alone. If it ends in ite or ate, there's oxygen with it. Now, one of my friends who teaches biology, then we add the monohydrate. This biology person said, oh yeah, I tell the students if they're having trouble remembering that if it ends in ate, it has a date. And then they know there's oxygens, like nitrate and sulfate. I said, yeah, what about ites? We don't do ites in biology. So if it ends in ate, it has a date. It's got oxygen with it. So I said, well, if it ends in ite, it can get in a fight because you need somebody else to fight with. So it also has oxygen with it, right? I don't know, but if that helps, whatever helps. And then I thought of this, and my students thought this was terrible. But with ide, chloride, you commit suicide when you're alone. So it's chlorine alone is ide. Okay, I know that's terrible. Unless you're a suicide bomber and you take out everybody in the plaza with you, right? But okay. I know you think that's really sick, but it's going to help you remember it, I know. All right, how about this one, Devin?
Barium bromide hydrate.
Yep. Hydrate.
Now, on the one above, is the mono required necessary?
No, you can leave it out, optional. Mono is always optional. Okay? I mean, if you went to Disneyland and said, I want to ride the rail, they probably would think you're weird because you want the monorail, but I don't know.
They know what you mean, probably.
Yeah, they'd probably know what you meant. Okay. So any questions so far? Because I'm calling you cold and just saying, I explain it and you're doing it and everyone's doing it correctly. Because when you are following one set of rules, it makes pretty good sense. But when you start mixing things up, it's not so easy. So now let's look at acids. Acids are defined a lot of different ways in chemistry, but for this discussion, we talk about an acid as something that releases a proton, and a proton is a hydrogen ion, just the proton with no electron, when it's dissolved in water. Some of these things can have the same formula as a binary compound or a salt.